Mortician answers dead body questions from Twitter.
Yeah, I don't know if I'll talk about them all, but I got all sorts of fun blood draining devices, and this one is for closing mouths.
Oh my god, bro. Being a mortician, what is it? A mortician? That's how you say it? Bro, being one of these people that have to work with dead bodies, like how often do you think they get like dreams about dead people or like, you know? Because me personally, I think like if I worked with a dead body for like if I worked with dead bodies for a living, I would feel like fucking. At least I would assume I would have nightmares because like, it's a dead body, bro. Like what?
Kind of cool. Hi, I'm Victor M. Sweeney, and I'm a licensed funeral director and mortician, and this is Mortician Support. This is a question from Saint Severin. Question for morticians. When someone dies, do you remove their poo, or are we all buried with an unpooed poo?
That's
That
a
is
weird
such a good question.
Okay.
More often than not, your poo is up to you. Sometimes you hear the myth that everybody poos themselves before they die. That's not always the case. Sometimes it is. For my purposes, when I get someone back to the funeral home and I'm preparing them, if they have pooed, then I'll clean them up. If it's the case that they start pooing when pressure starts to build up in the abdomen, then I stop what I'm doing, I clean them up. Typically what I'll do is I'll...
You can still shit while you're fucking dead, bro? Oh my gosh. And they clean it up. How the fuck would that work? Do they do it how they would a little kid? Do they lift up your legs and just start wiping your shit? Or what the fuck?
I'll actually flush out the bowels with the hose. Because the last thing you want to have happen is someone to start pooing and then to continue doing it when you can't control it. Jaded never won. If a person wearing contacts dies, does the mortician take them out?
Probably
Shower
not.
thoughts. Yes. Historically, I have always removed contact lenses because one of the things that we need to do, of course, is what we call set the features. Setting the features would mean that we close the mouth, and we also need to close their eyes. So we actually have a device that helps us do this. These are called eye caps. They're essentially spiky contact lenses that fit over the eyes and will actually grip the eyelid when we pull it down over those little burrs there. I typically remove contact lenses because those just get in the way of me doing.
Oh my god. I thought when you died, your eyes just rested at its natural state. But they... Oh my gosh. They grab like that, whatever he just showed, and they put it in your eye and they grab your eyelid and they just wrap it around type thing. And it's like it grips onto it and it keeps it shut. That's actually crazy.
Doing what I need to do to set their features and provide a decent appearance for the family. Question from Lainey. Will my cat eat me when I die? Possibly? Hopefully? I think the short answer to that is yes. I've heard of that happening from colleagues of mine. And as we all know, cats being inferior to dogs, they will do anything. They are opportunists. There's a question from Vamp Florence. How do morticians not want to chug the embalming fluid? These look like they taste like Fruit Loops. Well, I really love the picture you have, and I noticed you forgot the blue flavor. Embalming fluid is really colorful, but I can assure you, it is not tasty. It smells awful. As far as the coloring goes, it is strange, isn't it? One of the reasons that a lot of these fluids are maybe red or other colors is so that the embalmer knows what they are without having to maybe read the label. But you'll also notice that a couple of them are red. When we push the blood out of the body in arterial embalming, we're pushing out a red fluid. So ideally, we want to put a red fluid back in. So we gain access to an artery. Typically, we'll make an incision, maybe in the neck or in the thigh. And then we'll also gain access to a vein. We open the artery. We are going to have an embalming machine, which acts as a pump. And we're going to use this arterial tube, something like this. So this goes down the artery, and then it's going to pump fluid through. Now your vein, we are going to open with either.
So you're telling me they push out blood when you're dead to replace it with like that type of fluid or something?
There are a large forceps or this device called a drain tube. So this goes down.
Like I wonder how how did you even get to be in this position, like to work as a mortician, bro? Like how is it? Oh, because I highly doubt that while you're in college. Do you need to go to college to be a mortician? I don't even know. But I highly doubt when you were like in fucking high school, you were like, yeah, I'm gonna be a mortician. I want to be a mortician. I want to work with dead people. I wonder how this job setup came up, and you're now a mortician.
The vein, and then when we open it, the blood will pour out the side of our device here, and then we can control how quickly or how slowly we want the blood to leave the body. When we have a deceased loved one, they're going to look very, very pale because the blood has stopped circulating. So when we put in the red blood, the red fluid rather, that's actually going to pink them up in some ways and make them look a little bit more alive. Right, this is a question from Clementine. Okay, full disclosure, I'm fat, and this is a legit question. I'm not trying to be fat phobic, but how do extremely obese people, like I'm talking 400 plus pounds, fit in a coffin? Do they make a plus size coffin? Or does the mortician like cut fat out of them and sew them back up? I'm gonna answer the second part of that question first. No, we do not remove fat and sew someone back up. Everybody is buried intact if we can at all help it. So we actually have caskets that are made by our manufacturer to be oversized. Typically, when someone passes away, if they're larger, we'll measure them at their elbows because those tend to be the parts that stick out the furthest, and then determine what width of casket we will need to give them a more comfortable appearance.
Yeah, because I was about to say, there's no way a mortician is cutting off somebody and sewing them back up just to fit in the coffin. Like, I was about to say, I think that was a dumb question. I'm pretty sure, like what he just said, they have different sized caskets.
Put chapstick on the bodies, or are they just sitting there? Casket open, lips cracked out. That's actually a great concern of ours, is drying out. Not just the lips, but after you die, of course, your body is not producing any oils, so your skin can get quite dry. We actually have a heavy face cream that we use on almost everybody that comes through in the interim between when they're embalmed and when we get them ready for their funeral and put their makeup on if we need it. We always have that heavy face cream on to make sure that their lips don't dry out. So as far as chapstick goes, I've never put chapstick on a body, but if someone really wanted me to, I guess I wouldn't say no. Here's a question from Coco. Now I'm going on Google looking up the weirdest stuff. What do dead bodies smell like? Dead bodies smell awful. Rotting anything smells awful. We are hardwired to think that dead human bodies smell.
Like, that's a dumb question. Have you guys ever smelled a dead rat, bro? I've smelled so many dead rats, bro. It's not even funny. I'm pretty sure that if a dead rat smells that bad, I could only imagine a human probably smells 10 times worse, bro.
Bad. And it's a smell you never forget. I myself, I went out to a nice restaurant to have some aged steak, and I couldn't do it. I love this username. This is a question from Future Corpse. Aren't we all? What do morticians do with our organs after an embalming? What happens when they aren't donated? When we do embalming, all your organs just stay inside your body. We can prepare them all internally. After we finish the arterial embalming, we have what's called the cavity embalming. Optimally, with the cavity embalming, you're trying to puncture the lungs, the heart, the intestines, the stomach, and then you're also going to try to shoot for the kidneys too. We actually use what's called a trocar, and I have one here. It's a hollow point spear, essentially, and it hooks up to what we call an aspirator. So it's a vacuum, essentially.
So they just like suck out our intestines or something? No, because he just said he puts them in. So he sucks something out, but that goes inside your body when they put this, like, bro, like all these tools are used when you're dead. That's freaking like how many humans do you think, or corpse do you think, have been used with these same exact tools that he has, bro? Fucking multiple by this point.
Insert this in the abdomen and then try to puncture all the hollow organs, and then the vacuum will actually draw out all those nasty fluids. If you donate your organs, typically organ donations are handled by organ harvesting companies, and they will actually work with a hospital or with me to transport a body where it needs to go, and then they'll harvest the organs, donate them where they need to, and then the body will be returned to me after that whole process is done. Question from Paul Matthews. Do morticians normally just drain the blood down the sink? The short answer is yes. All of our bodily wastes are disposed just like our normal bodily wastes. The sewer system that goes right to the water treatment plant. This is a question from Soggy Emma. Why are coffins so expensive, y'all? Just bury me raw. Well, Soggy Emma, that is definitely an option. You can be buried in the ground without a casket. A lot of funeral homes put substantial markups.
What, you can? Holy crap! I wonder. I've never been to a funeral where there hasn't been a casket, and I'm pretty sure that's probably rare. But to be buried without a casket, bro, that's actually crazy. I mean, I guess it's more. You can say it's more earthy or something like that, because you're literally being buried, not in a box, but like what you lay on is dirt, and what's on top of you is dirt. You know?
On their casket. And I think it's just a way to collect money on the tail end of a service, but just like a furniture store, which would maybe mark up their kitchen tables 4 times what they actually cost, I would guess that most caskets are marked up probably 1.5 to 2 times what the wholesale cost is. This is a question from Tiny Rain. Do morticians put a bra on you? If so, I would like my rotting corpse to not wear a bra, and would like my ghost to be wandering braless with poking nips. Well, Tiny Rain, I don't know if there's much I can do about poking nips, but we do put bras on if the family requests. And the reality is, I've probably put on more bras than I have taken off in my life. Did I answer your question? This is a question from Leonard de Montague.
How
Does a
much do you
mortician
think
feel
they get paid, bro? Let me check. How much do morticians get paid? How much does a mortician make? Okay, in Chicago, Illinois, the average salary for a mortician is $37,204 per year. So it's $18 per hour. I wouldn't even do it if I would not do it. That 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 is not worth it, bro. Like where I work right now, I make as much as he does, bro, and I do way less. Yeah, I would not do
just
that.
as sad as a normal person when someone close to them dies? The short answer of that is yes. That was one of the things, actually, I myself really worried about when I got into this profession. Because at a certain point, when you see a dead body, you almost always kind of go into work mode. What can I do to help this family? What can I do to prepare this body? So I was very concerned when I started doing this that maybe I would start to even think of my own loved ones as something to help or something to fix, and not really take in grief like I used to. For my own family, for loved ones, my own grandpa passed away just a few months ago, and I feel just as sad about that as I think I ever would. It's just a matter of perspective and maybe where you're at the moment. Question from T. What foundation do funeral directors use to make dead people look alive? Well, that's a good question. All the makeup we use is actually formulated for dead people. So it's made to go on cold skin as opposed to warm skin like regular makeup. And one of the things we try to do is not cake people with makeup, but just do kind of light layers so that way their actual skin tone does shine through a little bit. If you've ever gone to a funeral and maybe you've seen someone in the casket who is caked with makeup, they don't really look like themselves. So one of our goals is to tone that down a little bit.
Yeah,
Question from
I'm not gonna lie. Like, I don't want to get too into it because I'm not trying to get sappy or whatever. But when this was a while ago, like 2018. When I saw my cousin in the casket, bro, he didn't look like himself. Like, he looked so much different than how I remembered him. Because a couple weeks before that, I had seen him. Right, we seen him. He was gonna help us paint our house or whatever. But then the next time I saw him after that, which when he was laying there, he did not look the same. Like, he looked so much different. I don't know what it is, but he looks so much different. So that would make sense.
Lala. Approximately how much does a mortician make? The minimum and the maximum. I really couldn't say what the minimum and maximum are. The average I've read in the country is about $65,000 a year. And talking to my other friends and colleagues, that seems to be about the average for my...
Six... Isn't... What? The minimum, maximum are... I've read the average in the Oh, and it said that's in the country. I was about to say, bro, he's saying 65, but on here it's saying 37,000 a year. Factors that can be affected in a mortician's salary: the location, the city or state where. Oh, okay. So it depends on where you live, your location, and what company you work with. So depending, okay. So I'm pretty sure like somewhere out in like fucking New Jersey or some shit like that, a mortician there probably makes fucking more. than what they would make over here in Chicago. That makes sense.
Area as well. Opia Dana, can you get half your body cremated and the other half buried? Do morticians do that? Asking for a friend. I have never done that.
Yeah,
I've never had anybody ask. I guess I could see it happening if you really wanted to. You would have to have a disposition permit that would have cremation and burial, and I guess we'd probably have to sign a waiver to cut someone in half. But maybe the bigger question would be, what half are you going to cremate and what half do you bury? This is a question from That Doodle Bunny. How do morticians handle their jobs without becoming emotional wrecks? That is a good question. Most morticians I know are pretty normal people. There are times where it's emotional, so you do feel it, and there are maybe days you come home where you just feel done and you don't want to work or maybe do what you're doing anymore. But I think the fact that you can actually help people on my side of the desk, on this side of things, there are things that you can do that maybe nobody else can do. You can provide a chance for a mother to see her son one more time. It's those kind of things that keep you going in those hard times. This question is from Not Waving. How do you dress the deceased? I have theories. Well, I would love to hear what your theories are, but really it's fairly simple. You're just gonna work their arms through just like you dress a baby, maybe. Oftentimes, if we have someone maybe very large that we can't move very well, or maybe someone who has outgrown their clothes, or maybe their clothes are too big, we'll oftentimes make cuts down the back and simply drape it over the front and tuck it under the back, maybe sew it in a couple places, so that way it sits right on the person and doesn't look like an overlarge tent or squeeze them into their clothes like a sausage. This is a question from Trap Jason. Why don't we bury people vertically instead of horizontally? They are already dead, so why does it matter? We could save so much space. That is a great question. I think a lot of it has to do with practicality. So if you were to bury someone vertically, you'd have to dig a pretty deep hole, and it would have to be pretty narrow. You can imagine how tough it would be for, let's say, 6 people to carry a casket to the graveside and then turn it up on its end and drop grandma down the hole. You might need a seatbelt of some kind.
Oh my gosh, bro. Dropping them vertically? Oh my god, bro. That shit is like, oh my, no. Bro, you think about it, bro. You just saw you just saw him, the person, right? And then now, all I'm thinking is if we drop it in there, is their fucking body pushed up against the god. They're like, it's just like they're like for the rest of their fucking life, bro. Like what? No, or not. They're there forever, bro. Like what?
And question from Crowbar Jones. What does a mortician do if there are artificial nails on a corpse? Keep them? Take them off? Asking for a friend. I hope you don't mean keep them by keeping a collection, but if you mean keeping them on, more often than not, I will. Typically the artificial nails look nice, clean, and of course your nails underneath are pretty rough. If they have them on, I usually keep them. Other things that people might be concerned about removing, piercings, they almost always stay. If it's an ear piercing and they have their earrings in, maybe we'll take the earrings out, clean them up a little bit. Other body piercings, I always leave them in. This is a question from Melody Jackson. Do morticians take makeup classes when getting their certifications? Yes, we do. I have a 4-year degree, and at my college we took courses on what they call restorative art. So this would include things like makeup and coloring, but it would also include things like putting people back together after accidents, sculpting an ear if someone has lost an ear. Lip Boy. Do morticians also give haircuts? Anyone know one that can do a nice fade? Yeah, Lip Boy, I do give haircuts every so often, usually only to men, and usually only if it's something minor. If someone does need to get their hair done, we'll actually usually call a hairdresser in. It's fairly simple because really you're only working with the front and the sides of the head. This is a question from Veronica. Say a body gets exhumed after 2 years. What should be the state of the body to be expected to be? That's one of the interesting things about my job is that I never actually know what happens after burial. If we had an exhumation, you actually have to have a court order to open the vault and open the casket. I've heard of cases where they've opened the casket and the body looks more or less unchanged, and this was maybe 50 years after the fact. This is a question from
Unchanged?
Jonathan.
So you're telling me there's been times where people have given the okay, you could go ahead and open the casket, and it's still as if they had just died type thing? So it's like, I thought when you die, right, and you're sitting in your casket, you rot. Like, by the time they open you, give it like 10 years, you're nothing but a skeleton. That's what I thought you were, but I guess not. Apparently, people have just stayed the same the way they are, like how I am right now, and probably rot on the inside, not the skin. But that doesn't make sense, bro. Let me see. Yes, bodies decompose in coffins. A body typically begins to break down within a year and fully decompose within decades. Salute. Okay, however, an average body buried within a typical coffin usually starts to break down within a year. It takes up to a decade to fully decompose. So it takes a decade to fully decompose. So you do rot, but so like within the average time, let's just say 2 years, and you want to unbury it, it'll probably stink bad, but the decomposing starts on the inside, so you probably still look the same, but you're still decomposing. For you to fully decompose would take a decade, which is actually insane.
In Kawap, Monty Python's Always Look on the Bright Side of Life is the nation's #1 funeral song. What's the oddest funeral music you've ever heard? I haven't heard too many strange funeral songs myself, but I do have this dream. I have a friend, and I told him if he passes away before I do, I'd really like to sing On Eagle's Wings, but like the Swedish Chef from the Muppets.
Bro,
It would sound like this. You had real initiative, the lead, a burden, a city for life. And that's
I would never do that at all.
it. That's all your questions. I sure enjoyed answering them, and I hope you learned something.
Definitely learned a lot. Definitely learned a lot, bro. W video, man.